Welcome, Leo, to your February 2024 reading. My name is Verity. If you like what you hear and you want a personal reading, please PM me and I am happy to do that. And yeah, without further ado, we'll jump in. So, what does the main dominating archetype for Leo for February 2024? We have the mirror. Oh, I love this already. Why do I love this already? Well, because in astrology, everything is on an axis. So Aries and Libra are on their opposition, like karmic axis. Cancer and Capricorn, and Leo and Aquarius are on an axis. And for me, this mirror card is an Aquarius card, which is your polarity point as a Leo. Why is this important? Well, is this my doorway in? Is this my doorway in? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to do my best to explain this without getting too down the rabbit hole or too technical. But currently, we're going through a major transition where Pluto, which represents the collective soul, is moving from Capricorn into Aquarius. So that's happening right now. It's in its final, basically stages. It'll station direct, I think, fall. I forget exactly. So I apologize for that. But yeah, so it's a big deal because wherever Pluto sits in the chart is the gravity point of the chart. It's the seat of the soul. It's collectively the main themes and focus, and basically the exhale of the shadow realm, if you will. And so Aquarius is about the rebel, it's the Tower card. It is innovative and technology and inspiration, and it is lightning. And so lightning always strikes, but you don't know where, right? It's that kind of idea. And so it comes in to basically topple down all the systems that are in place, Capricorn, that are no longer working, that are old, stuck, and outdated, Capricorn, and need to be disassembled so that it can be rebuilt into something that does work for the masses. Aquarius is the humanitarian. It is about equality, about eccentricity. It is an air sign that actually is the water bearer. So there's an I don't need to go down that road. So yeah. So what I love about this is that, to me, all of these speckles are kind of like the humidity in the air, right? It's about the air and the water bearer. And then in this piece of the mirror, we have the reflection of what looks like, when sun reflects off water and it's a bunch of diamonds. And then we also have a full moon here. And the moon represents our emotional realms and our intuitions. And so typically the conversation, right, between the archetypes of Leo and Aquarius is Aquarius says the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, right? There is a cool detachment. Its traditional ruler is Saturn and its modern ruler is Uranus. Both are very cold, barren, aloof, erratic, detached. Saturn's not very erratic, but I'm trying to lump them in together here. And so there is a certain amount of objectivity that is inherent within Aquarius. It's really, really big picture view. And so it says, again, my needs don't really matter if it means that the community is uplifted. There is an element of sacrifice that comes here, and an objectivity. Well, sure, I have these feelings about it, but this is what's in the highest good. And so I'm just going to remove myself from my emotional realm so that it's easier to deal with. And we are going to take this path of objectivity instead. And then Leo on the opposite side says, hello, I am the sun. I am the center of the solar system. I deserve to have my needs met. I want everyone to look to me, and it is the king. It is royalty. It is the sun, the center of the solar system. Yeah. So it's like, I have needs. And I need to get them met. I want to be seen. I want to be recognized. I want to be loved. I want to be validated. And so the conversation can look like Aquarius looks at Leo and says, dear God, get over yourself. Everything is about you. You're super self-centered, super dramatic, right? Way too fiery and animated. I need you to reel it in and get over yourself so that we can get things done for the community. And Leo looks at Aquarius and says, man, you got to get over yourself, right? And recognize that like you don't have to suffer and you don't have to sacrifice, and you're allowed to say, hey, this is me. I am my own individual. And by, you know, fulfilling my needs and getting recognized and expressing myself creatively and having talents and getting, you know, recognition, I am able to shine my light and come and live and operate out of that heart chakra, which is then allowing this generosity of warmth and life and abundance onto the land. And like you over there and all your cold, rigid, weird, aloof crap is constricted and not allowing for life to grow at all. So how's that working for you, right? And so there's this interesting conversation about, like your individual authentic self shining within the community, and the community recognizing you for it, but also you don't reign over everybody. So there's this really interesting dynamic happening. And so I think it's interesting as the mirror shows up as you as yourself, because I feel like in some ways it's calling for, hey, there's a bit of a reflection that I need to pay attention to as far as my position within the community right now. Am I being seen? Am I being fulfilled? Is it in, you know, right relation? Or am I kind of like taking up all of this space? Like there's, in the mirror, there is a reflection, right? That happens. And so being willing to look at that reflection and maybe ask for others, I don't want to say others' opinions, maybe those who were close to you that you trust, just for like a little bit of an inventory, right? Yeah. What else do I want to say about this? Yeah, it's just interesting as there's like an inversion, because as Pluto moves into Aquarius, it means that Pluto's polarity point is in Leo, which is your offering, again, of how do I show up in my community and offer them light, love, growth, and abundance through the shining of my own heart, through the sharing of my own creative talents and expressions. And I suppose the health of the community is a reflection in some ways of how I'm showing up in it. Or maybe there's an adjustment that needs to happen around that, right? How you see your community, or what are you asking from your community? And maybe those things need to shift. Maybe you need a different community, right? I hope that makes sense. This is the underworld, the sustainer. Okay. So the sustainer exists within the trio of existence. What that means is that much like there's Mother, Maiden, Crone, there is the creator, the sustainer, and the destroyer. So in this analogy, one needs to, if we were to plant a garden, one needs to till the soil first. That would be the destroyer. Then you plant the seeds and you nurture and nourish them so they grow. That is the sustainer. The creator is that spark of life. I suppose that's within that, as you plant the seeds, right? And so part of the pathology of Leo is that big, generous heart space, right? Where it can be that because love, for all fixed signs, which Leo is, they're resource-based. So for Leo in particular, love is a resource. How do I get love? How do I keep love? How do I multiply my love? And so the distortion, the pathology is like, in order to secure my place in the tribe, in order to secure my love, I will overextend myself, be overly generous, overly whatever, so that I can, have that incoming, right? And it's interesting too, because I always, when I see this, even though it's hands molding clay, I always see a heart. it's just, I always see a heart. And so again, it's this molding of the heart, molding of the clay. And so it's like, what are you willing to nourish? What are you willing to feed? And is it too much, or should you be focusing on nourishing that at all? Maybe having some objectivity within that, where it's like, you can't possibly go around and get love from every single place, to people please everybody, manage all of their thoughts about you, etc., etc. So part of the goal or evolution or medicine bundle for the archetype of Leo is expressing itself creatively and authentically, with source being the muse, being the fuel, if you will, for the fire, so that Leo can stand in its own flame and its own sun, being fed from source instead of from the external validation from others, which kind of feels like a black hole for other people involved, right? It's demanding all that attention, all that love, all that validation, all that recognition. That can kind of feel like an imploding black hole. And so it's like having objectivity around, you know, what are my motives here? And do I really need this source of love, right? Like, is this actually a true source of love that's sustaining for my fire? Or is this a false sense of security? Is this false pride, false identity, false power, false love, right? So yeah, I'd say about that, sustaining your own flame. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say about that. In the realm of the upper world, gnosis. So this is an initiation card. Gnosis is about the knowledge in your bones. It's about the, how do I say this? It is knowing everything all at once, enough to know that you know nothing, if that makes sense. Akashic Records come in here. I might as well just read what she says, because I'm feeling a little bit crunchy. And I always love her writings, honestly. So she says, Gnosis, innermost knowing and mystic truths. True knowledge is not found in facts and figures in scholarly books on library shelves. Rather, Gnosis points to the deep and timeless archetypal wisdom that arises from the felt experience of having touched the unknown with every one of the senses. That's important because experience is a fire word and Leo is fire. Those who are drawn to Gnosis find themselves in esoteric studies, likely involving mysticism, alchemy, healing, or perhaps science. Knowing is their calling. Not knowing is their job description. No matter how far the alchemists take their studies, they come to the ultimate conclusion that facts slip towards mystery, and soon the mystery results in facts. This card signifies a knowing that is life-changing. Once you experience it, you are forever changed and become a guardian of Gnosis. The eternal mystery is calling you. Study your passion in the deepest way available to you. When light, contemplating the mystery, unanswerable questions. And when dark, over-intellectualizing and literalizing, asking others. I feel like that's really important. She also says, those who say they know don't, and those who say they don't know, know. This card relates to the riddle and to the shapeshifter. All concern themselves with revealing mystic truths. So yeah, I would say definitely there's a call. Again, this is happening in the upper world. So these are the forces that are in your corner that are cheering you on and always like for your benefit and cheering you on. So I would say now's a really, really good time to dive into studies. Whatever you're passionate about, whatever excites you, maybe you have a new creative endeavor. Now is definitely a good time to embark on that, just astrologically even. Just sinking your teeth into whatever creative project that's been niggling at your heart lately is really the best way to do that. And part of that too is, that is part of the medicine bundle for the evolution of Leo, is that it can fall into the trap of looking externally for that validation, and therefore, oh, my talents or my creative endeavors are going to look this way. It's manipulated and controlled because you know that without a doubt you will get the praise that you're seeking for this artwork, even though it's not authentically representing what's coming from your depths. And an artist, a creative expression in its true form is meant to come from the depths. It comes from that mystic space, right? From that gnosis, that deep, I don't know what else to say other than from that mystic space. And if it's not, then it's not really an expression. It's not really a mystic space. And it's not authentic for your creative expression. And therefore, it's not really fueling your fire. So being made aware of that is, if you're following your passion, it will sustain your flame. And it won't matter if other people are coming in external, like recognizing you or validating you, because that flame is fed from the muse and from the inside and from a different deep mystic space that is inspiring you. And that is the manna for the spirit. That is that experience of touching the flame that is just so invigorating that it keeps you going, right? In the past, we have alethia. Another initiation card, so that's 2 big deal cards here. Alethia is love. It is the highest... Okay, let me reword that. It is the highest truth, but for me, truth always comes back into that love. And she represents that here anyway with the 2 roses that are happening here. We also have a star and a golden pearl. So it shows something of this earthly dimension. It's sort of as above, so below, microcosm, macrocosmic, that what is happening in this star is reflective of what's happening in this pearl. And so what's happening in the collective is what's reflective of what's happening in you. And what's happening in you is happening in the reflective, in the collective, right? Yes. So that alethia is coming from that space of truth. And I would say that the fire element can often be associated with that. I'm going to read anyway. Actually, before I read that, I'm just going to say there is a knowing in your bones that happens with alethia. There is something that happens when she comes around as an archetype where it's like, maybe you're listening to a podcast and you stumble across this passage or this new guru for you, teacher, that the words that are spoken literally just feel like bells inside of your cells. There is like a that happens, that everything inside of you awakens and turned on and knows that what is being said is true in your bones. That is both a form of gnosis and alethia. And I would say that when we recognize the deepest truths within ourselves, when those truths are activated, it reveals something that is so for our soul's benefit and for our knowing, that then it always leads us back into the space of highest love, highest compassion, highest forgiveness, highest I don't know what else to say other than truth and love are synonymous. Right? And I kind of feel that way, like with this reflection of the card, where there's a bit of a yin and yang happening, like you completely me, you know what I mean? So like, even though there's duality, they complete each other. They create one whole picture, right? So for whatever reason, that feels really important to me. And also I would say that even if somebody's truth looks different from yours, recognizing and remembering that the truth has 144 sides, right? Like my truth in combination with your truth is still only part of it, but they still help to complete a bigger picture of the puzzle. It's like we each have a puzzle piece. So this fragment of the mirror is maybe just one element of your soul or one element of the truth that's coming together collectively to create a larger picture of what actual truth is, and therefore what actual love is, because love holds it all together, right? And so remembering that whatever you're experiencing is a reflection of a truth somewhere, and they're coming together to feed the larger picture. I know I'm being redundant here. I hope that it's making sense. I'll just keep going. It's like the words are there, you know, but I'm having a hard time like kind of massaging it into this like deliverable form a bit, but that's okay. Thank you for bearing with me, and I really appreciate it. And I hope some of this is making sense, because maybe it's making sense to you, even though I don't get the whole picture. So in the future, we have the poet. Oh, I love this. I love this because we're talking about artistic expression. Leo is about your creative expression. And that doesn't mean that you have to be an artist. It doesn't mean that you have to write. It doesn't mean you have to paint. We're all creative in our own way. Maybe your creativity is business organization. Maybe creativity is the way that you are, you know, a mother to your children. Maybe it's through communication. Like it really depends on your passion and your creative expression. But I love that the poet is coming up because I feel like it's kind of saying, I mean what I said about finding what brings you passion and what inspires you and focusing on that. There's even, it's funny because it's like in the position of the future, and I feel like there is this scrying ball here. It's like this future telling ball here. And I feel like what that's saying too is that when you actually allow yourself to dip into that creative space, truth reveals itself, and it's coming from that mystic area, that mystic space where spirit speaks to you. Maybe you get messages through, you know, unconscious writing or what do they call it? Conscious stream writing or whatever. I don't know. It's just, I can speak for myself. I've got this Leo moon too. Not that that accounts for all of this, but it's like if I truly let myself go and just start going into this like beat of creative expression, and it goes into this trance, I start, you know, it's like these messages start bubbling up from outside of me, so that I can learn from them. And that comes from that mystic space of all things known, from your Akashic records, from your ancestors, from your other lifetimes, timelines, dimensions, realities that are coming forth to inform you. And so that you can be more wise, basically, in how you decide to project yourself forward, how you maybe structure things for yourself in your future, because you are doing it from a space that is more grounded. Oh, look, they're both scrying balls. Ha! It's like maybe this gnosis scrying ball is actually here, right? And so allowing that muse to guide you and guide your steps, each step at a time. And if you're only doing it through the lens of I need external validation, you're not going to get very far. You're probably going to burn out really, really quickly, and it won't be very fulfilling. And you might feel disassociated, detached, and fragmented because you're not actually operating of your true self and experience and expression. But if you dare yourself to actually let go and risk the humiliation and risk yourself, you know, being seen or laughed at or all of these things, which are really, really big deals for Leo. If you lean into that space of allowing the muse to inform you and sustain your flame and your fire so that you show up in your community in a beautiful way that actually reflects your light, then you bring knowledge and wisdom and experience to the community that is then better for it. And you become the mystic yourself, right? Like the poet is also the artist, and the artists are the ones, again, that are known for bringing more advanced, progressed messages back to the community. They see the beauty in things, they see the distortion in things, they can see patterns of the way things are going. So I love it because each archetype in some way has had some sort of like shaman, mysticism, like, leading into the ancestors, like kind of vibe to it. So I really love that. I feel like it's a time where we're all really stepping into our power if we choose to. So I'm just going to choose a chakra card to close out. So a mantra chakra card for Leo for February 2024. It's this one. Okay, so it's a solar plexus card, and it says, I acknowledge and bless feeling stressed, victimized, or overwhelmed. And the renewal is I take charge of my life, responsible for my choices and my well-being. It's a good one. And Archangel Michael card, we have, I think this was Aries too, maybe. It says the situation is already resolved. My prayer, I give any worries, cares, and concerns to you in exchange for true peace in all ways. Thank you for resolving this, give details of situation, in a divinely perfect way. Yeah, awesome. So just knowing again that like everything is already written, everything is already held in love and in truth. And we can dip in to find out those things for us as much or as little as we want. Following your emotional realm, your inspirations, your experience, and allowing that to carry you, right? So I hope that was helpful. I apologize. I feel like I stumbled through that one a little bit, but that's okay. Some are easier than others. And honestly, I'm really hungry. So I'm going to have some lunch here. And just thank you for supporting me, loving me, and joining me. And again, if you'd like to book a personal reading, please PM me. And until then, I hope you really enjoy your February. Be blessed.